So this is the part 2 video about actually finishing up the valances and hanging them up in our bedroom. So let's go back to where we left off the other one, and I had just engraved all these inserts for them. And what I did is I put 3 coats of a polyacrylic on all of them. You have to sand between the coats and wax them. And then I finished off those boards that I had flattened on the in the sled. And you can see they're all done, and I planed them now. I do have some firewood left over and some good smoking blocks. But originally I was going to use that template that I had to do some template routing to actually cut these main parts out for the valances. But in the end I decided, nope, I'm not going to do that. It would take too long and make too much sawdust. By doing them on the CNC router, actually these are a little thicker than the template was, so it takes about 8 minutes to actually cut them. And as you can see, there's zero sawdust in the air or anything else with the dust collector on. So this is the way I decided to go, and you can do stuff like this by hand too, but I'm not gonna this time. Just takes too long and makes the shop too dirty. So I just had to, set up and run the 3 parts, and you can see I'm using that down cut amount of cutter, so I have to go a little slower with that one and take some shallower passes, but you can see the finish perfect. Unbelievable. You don't even have to sand it after it's done cutting. Just wipe the dust off pretty much. And the router here is, really been running good. I'm really happy with how it came out and how everything's working there. And you can see I've got the servo motors and stepper motors all mixed in there, and everything works together. And a cooling scheme I came up with, no problems with that yet. After 20 minutes of running, it will go up 1 degree, but that's pretty much about it. It does work really good, and no problem with any of the hardware yet. So I'm real happy the way it's going. Then I got them cut out. Now I'm just using my old sheet cam for the programming on the CNC router. That's basically just a 2D thing, so I'm not doing anything in the way of bit changes or anything. It's quicker for me to just go back and do the final touch up of these pieces on the router table. And here I'm putting a rabbet in around the back of them to drop the panels in. And you can see I like to go backwards with the router bit, do a climb feed when you do the first cut. Don't go real deep because it's hard to control, but that way at least you don't get any chip out and you get a really nice sharp edge on the all the edges there. If you do just a standard feed on there for the first time around, you will get some chip out on the cherry, I found out. So I just had to go through them. It didn't take that long. It is when you're routing out in the middle of the air, though, it's hard to collect the dust on it. And there you can see what I mean. I'm just taking a little bit of a cut to just get a sharp edge here, and then I'll go back through and I'll just do the regular cut instead of the climb cut like that to clean it up. But you can see when you're routing out in the middle of the table, it's kind of hard to get all the sawdust with the dust collector. I do get some of it, but that's one thing that you'll never solve with a router table unless you put like an overhead collector that got in the way. So I got that done, and then on the other side of them, everything's going to have a 1/4 of an inch radius. So I'm just going to go back and put a quick radius in there. And like I said, if you could have flipped it and done it on the CNC router, but this is just so much quicker than trying to program and flip and reset things up. So that's pretty much it for the main front plates for it. You can see there, now they're finished on both sides. I just love that cherry. And then put the radius across the bottom of all of them here, and same thing, just quick pass and it's done. I'm gonna do a little bit of sanding on them. I really like this Makita sander. I'm finding out that little dust bag on it actually does work. I'd say it collects about 98% of the sawdust so far. It really amazes me so much, and nice big flat sander really does a good job of smoothing things out and leveling them out. And then I've got the pieces for the top to flatten. Now these are under 8 inches wide, so I can do them on the joiner. I don't need the sled to do them. I wish I had a 12-inch joiner, but I don't. So, anything wider has to be flattened on the sled first. But this makes it really easy to do, and a couple of passes on the joiner, and then run them through the planer, and I've got perfectly flat boards that are, have parallel sides. So I got them flattened out, and now it's time to go back and just cut them out. And I decided the top piece, I wanted the radius in the center of it to kick it out a little bit, to make it look a little bit more elegant and, not just square corners. So I did that on the CNC router again. Really, easy to draw up and just pull out a radius on it. And again, do a couple passes around on each piece, and it's done with. You can see there's very little sawdust in the air, and very little mess when you do it this way. So that's why I built the router for. Now, to join the sides to the face, I'm putting some rabbets on the 2 outside edges. I've got the 3/4 inch dado head set up there, and I'm just going to put a rabbet that's a 1/2 inch deep. I want to leave a 1/4 inch for the radius on the front. I originally was thinking about doing a miters on there, 45-degree miters, but I didn't want the grain showing on the corners. You get a combination of, if you put a radius on it, you get a combination of the grain showing plus a line showing. So I figured this would be easiest for me. And you can see how good that Craig setup works out on that Incra slider there. It's really the way to go. You want something that's easy to use, accurate, and safe. So there they are, all the parts. There's the side parts, the top, the front, and all the inserts. So everything's all done, ready to start putting it together. First, I've got to put a couple pocket holes in to make it easy to assemble the tops on. And for them, I'm just going to pull down that Armor Tool pocket hole jig and that frame that I made to hold it, and put them in there. Now this thing really does work good. Oops, I forgot to turn on the vacuum there. You can see the sawdust is in there. There it goes. But with those stops I put on there and everything else, it's easy to, repeat the same location for the 3 different faces. And I've had 0 problems with this. I do use it a lot, and I find it works good. And there they are, you pocket holes, and that's how I'm going to put the top on. And then to do the other sides, I just run the first 3, and then set the stop up on the other side there, and start putting them in. This is the easiest way to put them together, and you won't see it. It's all going to be hidden up above, so it makes it easy for me to so I don't have to glue them together from the beginning. A lot easier for assembly and finishing. So pocket holes are, actually a good way to go if you've got a place to hide them in. So a couple minutes later, they're all done. The jig does work good, and it automatically adjusts, and having stops to locate everything really makes it easy when you're doing multiple pieces. And I've got the 2 ends to put pocket holes in, so I just figured I'd set up the stops there and center them, and do them both at the same time. That really saves time using this jig and these pocket hole screws. Now once everything's all sanded and got the pocket holes in it, everything else is time for assembly. And it's real simple on this one. You can see I'm just going to glue the sides into that rabbet there, and put some glue on both surfaces and spread it around, and just clamp it all together. These I do find that these Bessie parallel jaw clamps really do make jobs like this a lot easier. And now I did have that that front rabbet sticking out a 64th of an inch to make it easy to sand flush later. So I just had to put some spacers in there to clamp on, and there you can see it takes 2 seconds for the glue up on these things, and everything's perfectly square. So I am real happy with those Bessie clamps also. Then after the glue dries, I'm just going to throw 3 pin nails in the end there to just keep it together for future use. They're really not required, but you don't see them, so I like to just throw them in there as a safety factor. And time to sand the tops and put the radiuses on them and start putting some polyacrylic on them. Everything gets 3 coats on it. And same with these. Time to finish sanding up these assemblies here. And I put some radius on the corner there, you can see, and that's pretty much all ready to go, and start putting the polyacrylic on them. And I will say this is the worst part of the whole job, trying to get the finish on there and keep it from running and dripping and stuff when you're dealing with rabbits and everything like that. And then I was upstairs and I looked out the window and I noticed I saw some movement, and there's 6 deer out there. Actually, they're the ones that have been eating my trees out there. So got a picture of them. And then we went out and we looked at material to build curtains, but to make like a room darkening curtain, it costs a fortune for material anymore. So I wound up just going on Amazon and buying some next day delivery ones that actually turned out pretty nice. And then, as always, I'm just using the Scotch-Brite disc. Got my sander there to take and mellow down the shine and flatten everything out before putting the Johnson's paste wax on. And this is where those pocket screws go in to hold it all together in the end. You can see they just go right up in there. No problem at all. Pulls everything nice and tight, and there it is. First one's put together. Time to put the inserts in now. I wanted to make these inserts so they could be removed and changed, and put new different stuff in there as time changes. So I just got some of these little plastic door panel clips, or mirror clips they call them, I guess, that I'm going to mount in there, so you can just loosen up a screw and twist this clip later on if I want to pull the panels out. Like, I'm thinking about making the outside panels engraved leather, but I have to find like a hide that's big enough to cut all 6 of them out of. So in the future, it'll be easy to make the changes I want. And, I'm liking those Milwaukee M12 tools. I'm starting to get used to the handle on them. It's a little bit fatter, but once you get used to it, they're nice, lightweight, and they do work good. So these clips I got on Amazon, and same thing, everything on Amazon is next day delivery anymore, it seems like, so you don't have to worry about it, going to the store and finding things. You just go online and it's at your house the next day. So there it is, panels are in, and that's the back side, so you won't see it later, and there's the finished side. Now, I originally was going to use the rods that were up there with the brackets to the windowsill, but I decided to change to a spring rod. So I ordered some off Amazon again, and once they came, I got the diameter of them, and I decided to make a attempt to drill some 3/8 thick holes in the sides of the valances there. And that way, when I put the rods in, they'll always be perfectly, hanging perfectly level, and they won't fall out easy. And these are a spring rod. They adjust from like 30 inches to 48 inches, and you just screw them out, and there's about 3/4 of an inch of spring pressure. Now, I wound up buying a 6-pack of them because it was cheaper than buying 4 separately. So there you can see they've got like little rubber tips on the end, and you screw them out and they get longer, and then they have about 3/4 of an inch of spring pressure. And you can see how they fit perfectly in those little holes I put in there for them. So there they are. Everything's all done and ready to go up and get ready to start the install. And I'm real happy the way they came out. But first I had to go out in my shop and make some little mounting clips to actually mount them. So I had some 1/8 inch wall, 1x1 galvanized steel angle that I cut to short pieces, and then I made some wood blocks that those angle clips will slide in behind on the wall. They'll mount on the wall. So now it's time to mount these in there. And you can also see I put like a little 2-inch extension on each corner because I found out the walls weren't perfectly flat. But a while back I had purchased this little M12 set that has different tips on it for drilling, different angles and tight holes. I always wondered, what am I going to use that for? And of course this is the perfect application. I have to drill about 3/8 of an inch from the edge of that, so I just used a hex shank drill there. And able to just put the holes right where I want. That thing is really neat. I'm happy with it. It really works good. I can see a lot of use for it now. And there are 3 other attachments that go on it. So if anybody's interested in a video about it, let me know, and I can do an update on that tool by itself, because it's a pretty handy little thing I'm finding out. So now I had to get them perfectly flush to the back there. And I just used a little piece of plywood to clamp on there and hold everything in line while I tighten the screws. And you can see I just swapped out for the screwdriver bit. So, driving screws in a corner is no problem anymore. It's pretty amazing. Just love all these little new tools that they come out with. And there, that block goes on the wall and that just slides down in. So these valances will actually pop right off once they're in place. And you can see just for the other side, you just pull it out, flip it around, rotate it, and good to go to the other side. So it's really a pretty neat tool. So it only took a couple minutes to get those brackets on the 3 valances there. You can see everything's really ready to go now, and they'll just drop right in place. No problem to install them or remove them later to make changes. And there's the clock. So into the bedroom, and these blocks actually space them out so they're centered. And there were some studs on each side of the window there. So, luckily the screws went right in. And I've got, some pretty good sized screws holding it so they won't fall down at night and hit me in the head. I am having trouble with glare and lighting because of all the snow outside and the sun and everything else coming in. So video kind of keeps changing colors. But you can see, put the brackets up, and one side I had to give a little bit of a tap to. The other one slipped right in. But I think it's just the inconformities in the wall and stuff. So there we have it, the first one up. Now it's time to go over there and put the one up with the clock in on the side. Same thing, I just screwed the brackets into the studs. Get everything lined up there. And just have to get it started. You can see those brackets keep everything perfectly centered and stuff. They're made just the right width. And then just give it a little bit of a tap down to get them level there. I love that clock in there. It's so cool. So then we just slid the curtains on the rod pockets there and put them in place. Now they're going to need some ironing in the future, but we're going to let them hang down for a while. And actually that picture in between the 2 valances there actually has gone, and I put that daisy wreath up there. But you can pretty much see how they came out, and I'm really happy with them. They do really add a touch of class to the room. And actually those room darkening curtains will really help out in the future too. So hopefully you may have found something that you can use in your future projects in this video. A lot of different techniques used, and a lot of different media and laser engraving, and just kind of mixing it all together with the cherry that was actually harvested in our backyard. Actually, no, this one wasn't. This one was part of a firewood log load. So I just wanted to share this and, give you some more ideas that, maybe will fit an application for you someday. And we're very happy how they came out. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.